Hello friends, welcome to TechBisoft. So today we are going to cover one of the important topic, how to design a methods with a different way like that, and object-oriented programming series that we started, right? So that same we are going on. We will continue that, right? So we have seen yesterday encapsulation concepts, right? So what is encapsulation? So encapsulation is wrapping that two things of the class, right? As we can see here, right? It does provide kind of security and it does wrapping these variables with the methods, right? If you're wrapping that in a single unit, that is called encapsulation, right? So here we have seen designed some methods, getter method, setter methods, getter setters method, right? According to the variable. But we may have some other methods as well if we are writing a class. That could be any logic. Okay. So what does it means actually? Logic. Let me write one class here that could be select test one. It is a test one class. Inside the test one class, I may write some method that will perform some kind of operation, right? So whenever you are designing a method, first let's understand what is a method actually. It is a piece of code. It is a piece of code. Okay. So if I'm writing, suppose if I'm writing 100 line of code, if I will keep it in a single class or single method will not be right? So we have to divide it in a different methods. That is a give a good representation or good I can say look actually of your program, and anybody can understand your code. So whenever you're designing a code, right, your program should be a small methods, right? So you can design a different methods and every method having some piece of code, right? And that method will take something, what it could be, that we will understand it. So method is nothing like a piece of code. If it is a 100 line, right, we can divide that into a suppose 10 lines, or depending on the logics also, right, what we are going to implement there. Then I can divide these lines in different lines and I can implement them, right? So that is a one class test one. So whenever you're designing a method, what could be the first criteria that we have to keep in our mind? First we have to think about access modifier. Access modifier. So we have an access modifier is like 4. So first we have to write access modifier. If we will not write any, that time it will take what? Default only. So we have access modifier. As we have seen when we have covered the basics, right, topic, tuples and all, that time access modifier was private, public, protected, something like that. Second what? Access modifier. After that what? Then some keywords we will use. Some keywords we will use, right? What is the keywords that will look on it? Some keywords we will use. After that we will use return value. What method is returning? Return values. And then so first access modifier, then we have to write keyword, right? Then we will write some return values. Then we will write name of the method, like a name of the method. Okay, and then I will use parenthesis. That is one of the important thing here. Parenthesis always will be the end of this particular method, and here I will keep some argument. I will give some argument, or that is also called what is called parameters also. So it could be argument as well as parameter. Both I will keep inside this parenthesis. Access modifier, keywords, return type, name of the methods, and argument. That is the things that we have to keep in our mind whenever we are designing a method. Where access modifier and keyword, these two are optional. I can keep or I can skip also, depending on my scenarios, depending on my requirement. But return type and name of the method always I will keep, right? And argument also I will take or I can skip also. So that part is also optional. and that two part is also optional. Return types and name of the method, that all will always will be there. Okay, so let's say I want to write something here. Let's say class test I have write, and we know that inside the test class I can't write any executable statement directly. Like for example, if I want to write it system dot out dot println, will it work? What do you think? I don't have any method here. You can see it is started crying and saying the error, because I can't keep system.println like that way. So class directly cannot see. System.println is something which is executable statement which should display the result. But here I can declare the variable int of x, I can do it. Int of y, I can do it. But what I cannot do, that executable statement I can't keep directly inside the class. Variable I can create it, but executable statement cannot be right here. Then what I will do here, I have to create some method for it, right? So let me creating one method. So here I'm saying like void test, suppose, and then I'm keeping this test method here. So what is a void test? Void test is nothing like a method only. Void is a return value and test is a method name. Void is a return value and test is a method name, and I will keep this statement under the system.println, then there is no problem, right? So class test1 we have, and that is having a one method called test, and it is having a two variable also. So if you are having some variable, right, you can keep that outside the methods also. That could be inside the class, but that's some executable statement which we have, right? Like some calculation, like for example, I want to perform addition of two numbers. I have to write x plus y, right? X plus y. Can't write under the without the say result here. It should be a result. Can't keep. Okay. So how will it execute actually? Result x plus y. If I will display here result plus result. What it should display here? So that will display the addition of two numbers. So that way we do design a kind of methods look like that. How can I use them? The test1 method which I created, test1 class I created, right? I created one method like test. So that we can understand here what is a void and when do we use void. Void is a return value actually which does say it is not returning even anything. Void, it is an return values, which means nothing are returning. Okay, so void means nothing is returning, right? And I may keep one more method here, suppose test1, right? So test1 is also again a one method, right? So test1 suppose is returning some int value here. Suppose it is returning some int value here. So if your method is returning any specific type, then we have to take care of it. Like we have to use one statement called return statement at the end. So I will return here suppose 100. Then there is no error here. If your method is not returning anything, that time return statement not required. But if your method is returning some values, right, then return statement is required. So the same thing if we can look at yesterday code which we did, right? When it is having a return values like int, we have a return statement, but whenever we have void, then we don't have a return statement, right? So that way you can design a different methods on your depending on your logics, right? I may have a number of method in a single class. There is no restrictions on it. Clear it. Now I have to use this test1. Right now I have given some system.println, right? And I have just written one test1 method which is returning some 100 values. Now I want to use them. How can I use them? So we know that if you want to execute it, right, what the first thing is required? Main method only. Does it having a main method right now here? No, there is no main method here. Then how can I use them? How can I use them? So we will go on the class where we have a main method, right? Which class having a main method? Suppose test class is having a main method, right? Now I want to use this test one here. So test is look like a kind of the class which will start the execution and will end the execution, right? So what I will do here, I will create object of test1 class. So I will write test1 t equal to new test1. So I have one test1 method, sorry, test1 class t is a reference of it, new test1. Now that will help you to call the method t dot what, test1, right? T dot what, test. So right now I have a two method which is calling, but this is returning something, right? So let me keep it under the some variable. So int of x equal to. So this t.test1 is what? T.test1 is a one method. It will come directly here. It is a test1 method and it is returning 100. It is returning 100, right? So method call, whatever value it is returning, I am keeping under the x only. So x will become 100. That means here we are returning from the method and storing inside the class itself. So here x will be 100 and it will not returning anything, right? So I can display this like a t. Okay, so here we are returning, we are displaying like t only. So this time if I will run this code, right, you can see I am getting this, that encapsulation examples hello with the 0 values because I did not assign any value, right? Yeah, after that I am getting here this, what is this, org example op test at, what I displayed here, t only, right? We don't have to display t, we have to display here x. So I will tell you what is a t. T is a reference only, right? That I told you, and here it is representing the address only, org example op test at this something. So whenever we are displaying reference here, right, it does represent the address only. So behind that one method will call, that I will tell you later, that is a toString method. So that's why it is giving address here, right? So what I will do here, I will write one x variable, right? And let me run this. See, now I'm getting 100. Hello 0, right? And x is displaying that is a 100 only. Because whenever I'm calling this method, right, test1 method is returning 100. So what we are doing here, we have a main method which is calling a test1 method, and test1 method is executing and test1 method is returning some values called 100, which I am storing here. So here who is a sender, who is a receiver? Test1 is a sender, test is a receiver. So that we have to understand that. Here in this scenario, one will be the sender and one will be the receiver, like that. So whenever we are keeping the return values, right, that means method will return something. But here I am not keeping any return values. So it is not returning anything. It is not returning anything. So what happened with the test1? It will go to the test1 method from the main to test1, main to test, right? Test1 is having a test method, right? This method will execute and it will not carry anything, or it will not take anything when it will go to the back to the main method. So always remember that main method will start the execution and main method will end the execution. Whichever class you have created, right, that class just execute, that run just inside this only, inside this main only, right? So that way it will work. One thing let me tell you, let me create one more method here like test2. Test2. Let's say it is not returning anything, it is having a void, but it's taking some argument. Let's say int of x. So we are having a different way of designing a method, right? Test, test1, test2. Name could be any here. Okay, don't worry about the name. I can keep calculate, I can keep any name here. So name is now not is a problem. I can keep any name, right? But what we have to think, return values or argument. Here no return value is void. Nothing is returning. Here returning integer, but no argument at any time, right? Here I'm not returning anything, but I'm keeping one argument here, int x, right? So then what happened? I can use that. So what, I took a one variable, right, x. So this time you have to understand here, whenever we are creating a method, right, which is taking some argument, and if you have a variable of it, right, we are doing assignment of it, right? So that is a global variable and that is a local variable, right? So global variable, local variable, both are different. So what I will do here, I will use this keyword, this dot x equal to x. What does it mean? This means what? Actually, this is always represent, this is a object reference here. What is this? It is an object reference. It is an object reference which will hold current object address. Current object address. Right? So here what I'm doing, this dot x equal to x, that means I'm assigning this x variable to the global variable, which is this dot x. So here this one is representing a global variable and that one is representing a local variable. So if I will pass any values, right, that value will assign under this x variable. Clear it? So that way it does work. So if I will pass here any values, suppose I'm passing, let me call this method from, because I already have a reference of this, right, test2, like a test2, and let me pass here suppose 100. What does it mean? It will go to the test2 method of the t. T is what? T is a reference of test1 class. That means test2 is a method of test1 class. It will go to the test1 class and it will see where is the test2. It will look at the test2. Yeah, it is a test2 here. In the test2, what happened? It will store some values. What is the value? What it is carrying? 100 only. So 100 will come. Let's take it 200 or any values. No problem. Any value we can pass. 200. 200 will copy where? It is copy under this x variable. So x will become 200. And then we are saying that this dot x equal to x. That means this local 200 will copy with this global 200. So previously it was 0, but now it is a 200. So then what happened, right? This 200 will calculate with the result only. So result will be 200 plus 0, something like that. Right? So let me run this code once. So here it is still giving hello 0, right? Why? Because this statement is executing at beginning only. Because I keep this result under the class only. There is no method is keeping it, right? No method is keeping it. So that is the one problem here. So it is executing at the top only and then it is executing this test2. So test2 method will execute after executing this line. So what I will keep it? I will keep this. That's a problem actually here. I can keep it, but it will not execute according to my choice. It is executing at any time, right? So instead of that, what I will do, I will keep this under the method, right? That could be return some values, right? Say int, and here I will keep that variable that could be calculate, something like that, calculate, and I will keep it under this only. So I will keep Control X this one and I will keep here. That is the result. And that can be written also, or I can return directly also. No need to keep this result here. Directly I can return that. Or if you want to keep it result, keep it, no problem. Okay, we can keep this also result. And I will return here result only. Return result. So anything is fine, no problem. That is the basics understanding of the programming. If you have that much understanding, right, you can write the program, but you have to understand that how to design a method, So that time I have a like how many method? Test method, test1 method, test2 method, and calculate method, right? This much method I have. Now what could be the order of execution? That is depend on the call only. So here we are giving a call. So like for example here I am giving the test t equal to new test 1. So here I am giving suppose t dot test 1. What is happening here? It is calling test 1 method. I mean defer that order also. So I will keep this here and I will keep t dot test 1 after that. That will also work fine, no problem. So that way it will execute. So first what happened, right? It will go to the test class, create the object of the test class, right? And then we have a t dot test 1. So test 1 will come under the, sorry, test is a method of test 1 already, right? We are calling t dot test. So it will come to the test 1 and here it will say okay, test method will execute. So it will display hello. After that it will back to the again test only. What is next? T dot test 1. Test 1 again it will come to the test 1 and here it will see the test 1 and it is returning 100, right? Because it is having return values. Then 100 will store under this x variable because it is returning something. That means test 1 method is returning something that we have to store it. But here I did not keep it x, right? Because it is not returning anything. It is returning the void only. So void means nothing is returning. Other than void, we can keep any data type like that, right? Same thing happening here. X it will store here. Then t dot test2. T dot test2, what does it do? It will go to again the test2 method and carry 200 here. So then it will come to the test2 and here x will be having a 200. So this 200 is assigning to the global variable which is x only, right? After finishing it again it will back to the here. So t dot test2 is completed now. Then I have to call one more method called calculate. T dot calculate. This time the calculation will happen after assigning the value 200, right? So then it will calculate here what? X plus y. So x will become 200 after calling this test2 method, right? It will 200. But y still having a 0 only because I did not assign y with any values. So it is still having a 0. So it will return me what? 200 plus 0, that means 200. So result it is returning. And here I can keep it or we can directly display that also. So I can write it system dot out dot println, right? What does it do? It will keep here system dot out println I can keep this under the parenthesis only here. So that way you can understand print ln, right? So it is returning something. Either I can store some variable or I can display that directly also. So we have a two-way. Here I am storing and I am displaying it, and here I am not storing, I am directly displaying it. Look like that. Okay. So man only will call. So right now I have three classes here. A student test1. Which class is able to execute? Which class is able to run? The class which is having a main method. So test class is only having a main method, right? So it will start the execution. A student test1 will not run because they are not having a main method, right? Let me run this now. So this time you can see hello I am getting first time getting this constructor things. I mean that getter things, right? This is displaying here. After that I am getting this test object I created, then test1, sorry. Then what happened, right? It is calling the test1 test method. So test1 test method is displaying what? Test1 test method is displaying hello. So first it is giving me hello only. Then it is going back. What next? T.test1. T.test1 again it will come to the test1 class and call the test1 method. So here it is a test1 method, right? What it is returning? 100 only. And 100 is keeping under this x variable, right? So x will having 100 and I'm displaying this x here. Then t.test I'm passing it 200. What is 200 here? 200 will be the value of that argument which I'm passing under the test2, right? So test2 will having a here 200 and then it is assigning to the global variable this dot x equal to x. This is the current object reference, right, which hold the current object address. Then it is returning, it is assigning then, and then it is calling the calculator. So that step-by-step execution, you should know that. If you are remembering that step-by-step execution, you can become a developer. If you are facing some problem to understand that flow actually, then it is difficult to go with the programming, right? So I will request guys, these are one of the important lecture to understand that flow of execution, right? If you have multiple classes, how to design method, right? What is the argument? So argument is something which is passing the value from main to the method where we are sending the request, and return value is something which could be return the value and that could accept the place where we do call the method. So all we have covered here. Here 200 is the argument, and here this method is giving some return values which is storing under the X. So inside that we have covered complete object and class flow. What is the use of class and what is the use of object? And in the class, I can't keep everything in a class itself. I have to create a method. I can create a number of methods on it, right? So we can declare the variable inside the class, but we can't write any executable statement like system.out.println or like this one, result, right? It was allowed to keep it outside, but it was having a no flow actually. It was executed at beginning itself, which will give me a wrong result. So that's why I have to keep it under the method only. Otherwise, it will give me a wrong result, right? So that is all about this methods and class. Guys, please watch it. If you like the video, please subscribe it. And thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.